keynote address. The stage is yours, ma'am, for the keynote address.
Everybody has got something to learn, something to share with each other, and only if you wear an attitude for learning, then definitely you get to learn anything, right? On that note, I think I should be able to deliver few things that you will be able to take away from this particular session and probably will be able to implement them in your classrooms. So classrooms, we were talking about, yesterday we started the session with financial literacy. We were talking about certain terms there. We went to the bank, we went to the market, we were talking about certain things, and then I think the last session that we concluded was about inclusion, and we talked about how education is for all and not for some or for few. And then today again, we have started with the lean measures that is not just sectorially or categorically applicable to certain sectors or certain industries, but then is much applicable even in our own education sector or especially the school industry. On that note, today I think I'll be talking about the curriculum focus on 21st century skills and the KSAM. This particular word, acronym, is very important because I think it's a part of this particular theme here. It stands for knowledge, skills, attitude and mindset. Oh yes, so I was talking about learning, and when we talk about learning, I said that unless and until an individual is keen to learn or has a mind to learn, you never get it. So that's about your mindset. So it's very important. Whether you're talking about the principles of learning for a child or the principles of learning for adult, then it is very, very important for us to wear that kind of mindset or be in that kind of mindset. Can we move on? So, what do you see? Okay, yes, that's the sea. And the sea is all over, right? So, ever since I've come here also, I've been seeing the sea, and it's so wonderful to see the sea. But beyond the sea, what do you see? Beyond the sea, what do you see? Endless, okay. What else?
Blue color.
Blue, sky, okay. So it so happens that, when we look at certain things, okay, somewhere you are able to see the visible things, to a certain distance, to a certain point. But beyond that, you're not able to see. This is called as the unheard. It could be the unheard voices. It could be the unheard or unseen things. Okay? So this is what we are talking about, the inner thoughts. We're talking about the inner things of what keeps actually happening in the mind. But here, I'm going to talk to you about the fog. Okay? Fog is nothing but sometimes whenever you look at a particular situation, when you are in a particular scenario, when you look at things, you are not able to see beyond. Crisis is one particular situation which actually brings us to this particular point. Past 2 years, as Dr. Hemlata was also telling us that, were the dark years. Not just for you, not just for me, but for the entire world. The entire world for us, it was a dark era. It was an age when we didn't know what to do, how to do, and how to get ahead. We were to get into things which we have never ever done. We were to think about things in a way that we never knew. Technology, yes, as rightly mentioned, for us, the South Asian countries, I think we are not so very techno-wise as much as the other countries. So then there were a lot of things that had to be learned newly, right? So I'll start off with a very small story here. So then there was one sea this way, and then there was one lady who was very, very passionate. She was very passionate about swimming. She was a swimmer. She tried swimming, she learned swimming, and one day she thought she must do something which others have not done. On this agenda, Florence Chadwick actually started her swimming, okay? And this was in the English Channel. And she swam and swam and swam, and she reached, and finally, there were sharks, there were whales coming, okay, they were biting her, then there was frostbite, and it was very cold. She was not able to take that cold. Her skin was not able to bear anymore. She was like totally, it was in a very bad shape. There was a boat with her, at a little distance, which was followed. Her parents were there, and there were some guards in the boat, just in case something happens, and to stand there for rescue. And she swam and swam and swam, and she went, and then finally she thought, no, I don't see anything beyond. I can't do it. I just can't do it. And at that point, she just gave up. She gave up, she stepped into the boat, and the boat came back, okay, to the shore. When she stepped into the boat, and she was crying so badly because she had this kind of sense of not achieving something. We often talk about sense of achieving something, but what does the sense of not achieving something feel like? She was in that particular field, and she cried. She hugged her mom and bitterly cried, and she said, I have failed. I have failed in my attempt. But then, very surprisingly, she was very surprised to learn that she was just half a mile from the target, from the shore, and that at that point she had given up. So then, this particular thing that, oh, I was just there. I was just there. But then I was seeing, there was fog around. I could not see it. My target was actually not visible. Oh my, I have not actually done the right thing. I should have tried a little more, just a little more. Yes, this gave that kind of intrinsic motivation for her to push herself more. Now she gathered courage and she did it next again. Again, this time she swam in less than, she has taken, time less than what she had done in the first attempt, and she becomes the first lady to actually, swim across the English Channel. Can we move on? So, that's the story of, Florence Chadwick. So, that's she, okay, after she is won. So what do you understand from this story? Story is nice, okay, but then what do you understand from this particular story? Never give up is one. To be goal-oriented is the most important thing. Come whatever. There could be challenges, there could be tough times, and believe the tough times don't last. Every problem, every single problem in this world has got a solution. It comes with a solution. Now it is up to you to search, to check, and to do whatever, left, right, top, center. You learn, you unlearn, you do whatever you want. Or find a solution. Or find a solution that suits you. Not all solutions are suitable for all the, problems and not all the cases. Case to case it would differ. It's not like, the doctor writing RX, okay, this one medicine will suffice the whole thing. So, that's how it is. So what do we see? We see that the world is ever changing. There's so much of uncertainty all around. Right? With a changing world, you also need to have a change in your mindset. You need to have, different kind of skills. Survival skills, with which you can move further and without which you won't be able to create a new world. Can we move on? So, if that is the case, then what are we looking at? We are looking at, yesterday when the Honorable Education Minister was speaking, he spoke about IR4. That is nothing but your Industrial Revolution 4. We are in that era. Already, with the entry of 2019, we have seen the gig economy. We have seen that there are many takers of small jobs. One individual is not sticking to one particular job. One individual is not working just in one place. Before that, how was it? We had certain skills, and with that we stepped into one job. That's secure. I'm very happy with that. But then, what happens in the gig economy is you have gig resources, okay, you have gig jobs. Also, the kind of skills and competencies now that you require to handle yourself will have to change. There are newer jobs. I have seen that there are Uber Eats. Earlier, how was it? You want to have something outside, you will have to step out, go to a restaurant, and then only you can have. Today, sitting in one place, you can also order your food. Same with your transport, right? See, these are some simple examples, and if that is the case, there are people who are working for it. So during Corona, many of them have lost their jobs also. So what happened? People started looking at some other jobs, okay? And whatever is capable, whatever I am capable of, I am doing. That's perfectly fine. I have this many hours and then I can do multiple jobs. That means the future of work is changed. This goes to say that the future skills and competencies that are required in the world has also changed. Okay, does it mean that technology is totally taken over? No. Technology definitely is a player. Technology definitely plays a key role. But it does not mean that the human skills are not necessary. There's a cusp of the human skills as well as the digital skills which are needed precisely. But now there would be layering. Whatever, technology, whatever can be done by technology, that, will be given to the machine. There would be higher order skills which are required, or there would be certain jobs which must be done manually, that would be taken away by man. So this is how the man and machine combination is going to work, which means the entire skill matrix, or then this kind of skills that children need to have, will be different. So what is it? Out of the entire, the World Economic Forum report, which was published in October 2020, and now recently, in 22, again the World Economic Forum has happened, right? What does it state? It states that the most important skills would be empathy, curiosity, out-of-the-box thinking, okay, being very conscious, self-consciousness, self-awareness. These are the kind of skills sets, needed. That means one need to push himself or herself, go further and acquire it. Self-learning, okay. So it's an age of personalized learning. Yesterday we were talking about IEP. Okay, what is this IEP? This is nothing but individualized educational plan. We also have AEP, the advanced educational plan. That means what? We have customized, we can have solutions for different problems. Now, we will have to use all that we have in order that, we create these kind of plans, and then, we deal with the classroom as such. Is it okay, teachers? Is it okay? Are you able to understand? Yes? Good. But some of them, in between I will be conducting a quiz to just check, your listening skills. So please be here. Can we move on? So that is, we are now looking at what is the future of work and what are the competencies. How do we develop that? So this particular topic today would deal with, how we bring in this kind of sustainable development goals which we are talking and which we wanted to attain, or every country must attain it by the year 2030, 8 years from now. Okay, what are we actually, what are those listed priorities that we need to attain, and especially with respect to the, SDG 4, that is education. Now, let us see what can be done in the education industry, more precisely in the school industry, and in the classrooms by the teachers. So how or what are those things that teachers need to know? What are those things that teachers can practice? What are the ways in which teachers must be empowered? Right, so this is what we are actually going to look at in this particular session. If that is the case, how should the curriculum look like? What should be the components of the curriculum, or how should the curriculum be designed? So when you look at that, we have three main components here. First is in the classroom, the students, and then we have the teachers, and from there we are connecting with the community. When you're talking about students, the entire module is 2 years they were actively learning, is what we feel, with the aid of technology. They have learned many tools, teachers have learned many tools, teachers are doing their job on the screen, children are doing their job on the screen. But you know what children were doing? They were doing much more than what teachers were doing. How? Multitasking. Okay? One side one video would be playing, the other side PUBG would be done. So there are many games, no problem. Zoom also has this option of chat and other things. So screen would be on and then it was not visible to the teachers, but behind children are working. They are all working, agree or not? If you all agree, then say yes. Yes. I want all the delegates to be, responding. Okay. So now, what happens? How do you catch them? So you cannot see them, they're not live in front of you. Okay. So the year 1 has gone, the second year is gone. Now they are back to school. Now what will happen? The shadows of this dark age will follow. Right. It is going to follow in the form of learning gap. Yesterday, I think some of the participants, they were asking this particular question about, after these 2 years, how do we actually, the kind of gaps that children have developed. So now they are coming back. So they will be in the same mindset that they can again multitask. Is it possible in the classroom? Will you ever permit that? No. But then, can you be very strict and, can you do that in the classroom then? Physically he, she may be present, but mentally they will not be present. So what can be done? You must put them into activities, okay? Engage them into activities which are very, very interesting. You know what happens to the brain? After the 6th minute, there will be a short circuit. After that, nothing. You talk to me for 6 minutes, after 6 minutes, after 7th minute, no, I will be in my world, I will be in the sea and you will be talking. So this is what, happens to the human mind. So there must be activities, not very big, small activities, limited activities, which can be done in a span of 3 to 5, 6 minutes. Let it involve all the skills, including the motor skills. You need to introduce motor breaks in between. Suddenly play the music, they can all stand and dance. That will bring them alert. Otherwise, your classroom will be a very tough thing for you to handle. Alright, and then when you're designing lessons also, you will have to bring in lot of activities there. How to open it, how to bring in the new content, and your new content should be only limited to 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, you should be able to very crisply put it across to children. How is it, or why is it so very important? See, now when we're talking about, just now, Dr. Dheeraj, when he was talking, he said, the interest in a particular subject is actually developed from the teacher. So, this is how it would be. So, it is your duty, or it is my duty as an educator to see that I develop interesting lesson plans that work not just on the plane of paper, but which is actually possible or practically can be implemented in my classroom. Points to be noted, they must be interesting. In short, it should quickly give the concept, okay? There must be less of writing because he has already lost the habit of writing. He is no longer going to write. So you'll have to bring in some concept maps and some mind maps and other things. You need to put them into engagement, no demonstration at all. Bring them only into participatory mode. Get up, come, let us do. This is a group, this is a group, this is a group, and this is what you do. Now the problem comes. We have lot of lessons we have. We have a particular syllabus. There are entities that we need to complete. How do we do that? Multiple groups should be doing multiple tasks. All right? And then every group should be coming forward to share their thoughts. Let them become communicative, because you are talking about overall skill development. It is not just the core subject competency that you are looking at to develop with children. Right? So we'll see how and what are those elements that we need to look at. So when you look at the entire thing, why this should be this way is because as educators, you're all looking at learning to lead. You are all leaders. Yesterday all of you said that you are all leaders, right? And believe me, all of you, you are agile leaders. Why is it that you are agile leaders? You have stood for that particular, in that particular situation. Past 2 years, you have upgraded yourself. You have learned many new things. Unconsciously, consciously, you have spent some hours. You must have upgraded yourself technologically. You have learned many things. Right? I think all of you deserve a big round of applause. Please clap for yourself. You've been agile. You've been adaptable. You have proved that human beings are adaptable, and come whatever is the situation, we can, change ourselves to the situation. And so, whenever, a person is gaining knowledge and then, is also developing skills, that's when his, her attitudes are framed. And these attitudes is what actually will come or lead to the mindset. So, that is how, the entire journey progresses. Now let's move into classroom. In the classroom situation, what exactly can happen with respect to the sustainable development goals? So, teachers, yeah. So, now you have, some particular challenge, or we call it as a problem statement. So there are many problems, right? In a day-to-day life, there are many problems. Start your lesson with the daily problem statements analysis. These problems, you will have to get it from children. You please tell me, what is the most important problem now? Whatever comes to your mind. And then, it need not be only with respect to, your particular subject. It can be anything. Yeah. Any problem that you have come across. What is the problem? One of you tell me some problem which you have identified. Any problem? Shortage of fuel? Shortage of fuel is a problem? Is it a challenge? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. So that is a problem. So like this, when you ask children to come up with problem, they will come with a list of problems. That would be the challenge. The problem becomes the challenge. Based on this particular challenge, you're going to, as a teacher, chart certain action plans. Now, you ask them, what are the possible solutions? What could be the probable solutions for, this particular, to solve this particular problem, that is shortage of fuel. What are the solutions? So there would be multiple things which are brought in, isn't it? Now you see, how can you give it to children as a project? How will you give it as a project? You will have to give 3 inquiry questions there, okay? As in, where they can research. Today, there is no dearth for information. The www is all theirs, okay? They can find enough information from the net, they can find enough information from any website. So then, another thing you can do is, you can make small pockets of information and you can distribute that to children. Different groups you can give. Fuel sources, okay? What happens, in war, or how is it that, what could be the problems that are faced when there is fuel shortage to one group. Another group, you may ask them to work on maybe what are the alternates for fuel, okay? So they may come up with lot of ideas. They will come up with lot of ideas. That will become your action plan, and you will give it as a separate project to all the groups. Okay. Each project, what you have to remember is, see that it is shared among all. You will not be sharing. You will only be in the class to facilitate the class and see that you ask children to act and present it to others. This way what will happen? Sharing of knowledge will happen. There would be a lot of peer learning that is happening in the classroom. There are certain things which we can depend on technology that you please do not carry out in the classroom. That you can give it, to work in the lab, or maybe, in the library, or maybe, something towards the weekend or at home. That you can give it. But whatever collaborative work is there, that can be given in the classroom, where they present themselves and where they are coming at the solution. So each group get to learn from each other. From there, there would be short-term goals and long-term goals which are decided by the teacher and will be put up. Among the long-term goal could be something like, what can the school do to address this particular problem? Okay. In the short-term goal will be, you bring in parents and others also into the community. Teachers are there, students are there, even, the neighborhood, wherever the school vicinity is there. So there can be questionnaires, there can be survey papers, etc. and then go to people visit. So this way what will happen? Your children, your students, they are developing the core competencies to develop, that are needed to, solve a particular problem or a particular challenge. So that will become target 1, target 2, target 3, that is milestone 1. One problem. What are the different sources of, what do you call it as fuel, etc. that they have found out. Now, how do you arrest? Can we pool vehicles, or can something else be done? Third one will be, there could be some kind of innovation which is coming out. Maybe your children will develop some other substance that actually can be used instead of fuel. Or there could be multiple other, substances which has, the same properties, or which can actually be used for running vehicles or, using it. So here comes the innovation part of it. So you are creating innovators who will definitely have an empathy for the society, not the sympathy. Sympathy is actually not required. And then they are actually becoming very curious to find answers to those questions, and they are actually working together in groups. So this is how, the project actually moves. Can we move on? So now, these are the 7 steps I'm going to share that can happen in the classroom with respect to the development of sustainable development goal in the classroom. So this is, first point to be remembered is better planet. I put it in simple words because you will be able to remember. What does better planet mean? Better planet means, the school can work towards the environment, pollution, sanitation, sustainability. These are the problems. Now you see here, these are the real-time pictures in the year 2021. I also had academics for a group of institutions, and these are real-time projects. Students have actually worked on creating a no plastic school. So the target was no plastic school. This is how you pick the problem. So you see the pictures. So children worked on the questions given, multiple questions given, and then they have come up with a lot of innovations. They have created their own cutlery, they have created their own footwear, they have come up with alternate, they have spoken, worked, researched, and come upon, how recycling can be done, how reusing can be done, how, you can use it as an alternate resource, etc. Right. So these are the pictures. Then finally, they are presenting it to a larger crowd. And in that, we can have someone even from the government or other bodies, even experts can come in, scientists can come in. And there were 21 paper presenters here who had written their abstracts. And this was held on the National Science Day, which was on the 28th of February in, at Hyderabad, in India, because we have National Science Day as 28th of Feb. On that particular event, this was actually conducted. And some of them have developed the prototypes of their models. And then they will be doing the idea pitching and they will be invested upon. Okay, so they may start up with go with the startup, a startup company. These are all, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds, as young as they are. Okay, next. So this is as a part of it, other than that, earth hour, because resources, we say, resources will be depleted if you overuse it. So now, in order that you cut, we also follow the earth hour, that is a particular time in which everything, we don't use or we don't consume any of the, what do you call it as, any of the gadgets or any of the resources as in, electricity or nothing. So we follow that. So these are, you follow that particular time, and that is a simple way in which, you're bringing in awareness, you're educating children about, sustainability and the sustainable development goal. These are the smaller ways in which that actually happens in the classroom. Next, this is the second, point that you need to note. That is, the second thing is good human. Every individual, finally, man is a part of the society, and he need to definitely become a contribution or an asset. Like how teachers, we talked about being an asset or a liability. This can, even every individual is supposed to be a good human. So some of the ways in which, they are becoming good human, one is we have certain values. Every month we follow a particular value where they do activities, literary, cultural, a lot of activities with the communities in which they get to understand what is that value and what are the values that they need to develop. So glimpses of some of the activities are shown here, just a few. That also includes, gender equality, because respect for women and how you bring in that kind of equality thing. So they they have a lot of literary activities as well as cultural activities also, through which they learn all these things. Next. The third is, great value. We also have themes. You see those themes also there, like Yoga Day. Okay, this is, last year's Yoga Day. So we have a globe in all our school. And then, so that particular, there is a practice of bringing out that particular month's theme as well as the value on the particular, globe, and then put out all the artwork and, art, because it's totally, the entire pedagogy that we follow is integrated with art. It has got a lot to do, because that will cater to, the heterogeneous crowd. All the children will be able to follow, and they'll be able to express something or not. My art may differ from your art, but then both of us will be trying to express whatever is in our mind through art. So art is a great way, and these things are put up, in every school, and children talk for the entire month on that particular theme, on that particular value. They do a lot of things on that, and that's how, we bring in these great values. Next. So this is also just a glimpse of the same, values and themes, coming up with the themes. So that's how, the schools, look like. Next. New perspective. When we talk about new perspective, I'm talking about lesson planning. When I'm talking about lesson planning, I'm saying that, if you wanted newer skills to be developed, you must do something new. You cannot do old things, you cannot get new things in an old way. So we also have subjects like design thinking, we have entrepreneurship and other things which are actually happening in the classroom, and that's how, we do a lot of talks. Children themselves do a lot of talks. Parents are invited. Outer resource persons are there. There are panel discussions among children. There's a lot that they do, and we are talking about early childhood. You can see the little child actually playing with sand. So here, it's a multi-sensory concept that is being followed, because there are tiny neurons on the fingertips, and then you give them water, you give them sand, you give them lot of elements with materials with which they deal, they play. So it's all like lot of activities into which they are engaged, and the final outcome, the learning outcome, would be a particular goal. The bigger goal being the sustainable development goal as well. Okay. Next. So when we are talking about new perspective, you should be able to bring in newer activities. You should be able to bring newer kind of things which will add value to their competency levels. Extended resources. Extended resources again is like when you're talking about these subjects, like when you're talking about design thinking, or when you're talking about having a competition of design thinking, or you're having an idea pitch, okay, or you're talking about a business pitch or something, these are not a part of the core curriculum, but it will form extended resources, and these will pay way to developing the competencies in a bigger way, because the kind of confidence that children will have after getting into such projects would be something different. Next. So finally, to conclude, you have to be goal oriented, as in for a particular school, what is the goal, short term goal that you have for a year, okay, and what is the long term goal that you visualize for maybe 5 years, 3 years, kind of, that should be written, that should be mentioned. And when we talk about QP, that is a quality policy also, we should be able to write it, keep it very clearly visible to each and every stakeholder of the school in a way that it is visible. Unless and until things are made visible, children will never be able to understand. Unless and until you make them as the messengers to carry the messages, they will not be able to take it any further to their homes and thereby to the community and to the society. Right. So you see that bringing in lot of diversity, bringing in lot of cultural elements, bringing in lot of art elements. This is how you bring in the entire goal to be culminated at the particular school and to be translated into the classroom. So I'm not talking about just routine kind of classrooms where only the core subjects are being taught. So you should be able to bring in, with math, you should be able to bring in art, you should be able to, it should not be standalone as a subject. There should be a bit of history there should be a bit of, what do you call it as the other language also, and then even vernacular language can be a part of the particular project. So that is actually not a problem. So that's how it should be. But then whatever is the particular goal which is set, the short-term goal, everybody must be on to that. Next. So these are also the glimpses of those experiential learning activities which actually happen within the classroom. Again, a point to be noted here is it is not that only few of them or few children are participating in anything. We have a culture of everybody, each and everyone participating, and from there only it is automatically filtered into the next round. So that way no child is missed or no child actually loses a opportunity. Okay, so that is what I was talking about, multiple subjects which are involved into the particular project. So every project should be looked into, the multiple areas of the subject should be looked into that particular project. So it should follow a transdisciplinary approach even to implement the sustainable development goals, and some of the glimpses are given here. So art, physical education, music, dance, theatre, puppetry, dramatics, design thinking, entrepreneurship, all these are entities or elements which we actually use in the school, to bring in the core competencies or develop the core competencies in students. Next, you can just see, these are also the glimpses, okay, of the happenings. These are all the latest. Next. So finally, I would like to conclude that learning is not a product of teaching, but learning is a product of experiences, and hence learning can happen consciously and unconsciously. This is where we have to catch the entire opportunity of bringing in those kind of live experiences and good experiences within the classroom, in the ground, in the school campus, on the corridors, during the lunch break, after the lunch break, before the lunch break. during the assembly time, or outside in the field trip, or for a nature walk, or for an exhibition, or for anything to anything. Only if you think, because each one of you teachers, you are all capable of doing it, and if you think that your school should change, if you think your classrooms must change, then please start thinking differently and start making things happen. Policy matters will happen. It would buy some time for different policies to come in, but in the meantime, as an individual, what are the things that you can do? So these things, if you can start and if you can get ahead, then your contributions will much be valued and it will be visible in the entire campus. That's it. Good luck to all of you. Thank you so much.